After the First World War ended, America entered a period known as the Roaring Twenties, a golden age for America's economy and culture. During this period, filmmaking and animation flourished and set new standards for all types of cinema. Films of this era were incredibly influential on today's cinematography, with some films spurring the growth of new genres.
The Roaring Twenties were a time where everyday workers could spend their money on their wants and not completely focused on their needs. In the age of consumerism, people would be able to spend their time watching movies as their work hours were reduced and they were paid more due to the revitalized labor union efforts after World War I.
At the onset of the golden age of film, four films were particularly influential as being the first of their kind, including Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Willie is an animated short directed by Walt Disney that depicts a grueling tale about animal abuse. Now this obviously isn't true, but through the lens of today's society, it can appear less family-friendly than intended to due to Mickey Mouse's use of animals as musical instruments. Despite this, Steamboat Willie was a huge success worldwide and received much praise for its great animation and synchronized sound. Funnily enough, after seeing The Jazz Singer, the first film to feature synchronized sound, Walt Disney was inspired to make his own animated film with fully synchronized sound, thus leading to Steamboat Willie. This 8-minute short set a new standard for animation and raised the bar for animators.
The 20s saw an emergence of many American supernatural and occultist films, including adaptations of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Gaston Leroux's The Phantom of the Opera. The horror genre had not existed at the time and would not come until the 30s, when Universal released their monster movies. Among the films made before the horror genre had existed, the German adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula stands out as one of the most influential works on the modern definition of horror. By modern standards, Nosferatu is not considered a scary monster, with his appearance in kids' shows like SpongeBob as the light flicker and his strange facial proportions, like Jonathan Zang. However, at the time, director Frederick Wilhelm Murnau had successfully created one of the silent era's most legendary films. Nosferatu, unlike modern horror, relied on terror and gothic architecture to establish its chilling atmosphere, making it so that the film does not scare us, but instead haunts us.
Und ich schwöre dir, so wie wir und so wie ich in dieses Amt eintrat, so will ich das.
The kid is about a pre-Nazi regime Hitler with a hat who abducts an infant at birth and uses the baby to ascend the ranks of the German government. Just kidding, it's actually about an orphan who gets adopted by the tramp, Charlie Chaplin's character. This was Chaplin's first feature-length film in which he wrote, directed, produced, as well as starred in. It was a pioneer of comedy in the film industry. Nothing like it was ever seen before. A combination of drama and comedy was something completely new, and people were blown away by it. Upon release, The Kid was critically acclaimed for its ability to create just as many tears as it did laughs.
Blue sky, smiling at me, nothing but blue sky do I see. Oh, bluebirds singing a song, nothing but little bluebirds all day long. I never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, oh, don't they fly? Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
In the early age of film, films lacked
synchronized speech,
with story being conveyed through actions and background music rather than words. However, as cinema became an increasingly popular pastime, it also evolved away from the silent era with the emergence of sound films, ushering film into the talkie era. The first movie of this new talkie era was The Jazz Singer. The Jazz Singer was the world's very first musical and talkie, with 6 featured songs performed by lead actor Al Jolson. The Jazz Singer, despite its blatant racism, was one of the most significant films in history, acting as the transition to the silent and talkie eras. Interestingly enough, the Jazz Singer's first words are, wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet," symbolizing the talkies that would characterize the later golden age of film.
You know what? I'm gonna kill myself after this is done. And you know what? No one's ever gonna see this.
I see trees of green, red roses too, red roses too, red roses too. And I think to myself, red roses too. I see skies of blue, red roses too, the bright blessed day, red roses too. And I think to myself,